So when I was in AE, I was obsessed with the health of my pipeline. I wanted to do something about it if things weren't going right. So I wanted to be able to see and spot the risk and then tackle it head on. What I didn't want, or what frustrated me when it did happen, was being ghosted, deals stalling, deals slipping, or getting really bad news late in the quarter when I couldn't really do anything about it. Especially if you're not doing like transactional sales where it takes a couple of months or a year to close a deal. Usually when you find out or get bad news, it's usually too late. So I always want to have a real-time view on my pipeline health so I can do something about it. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a really, really simple tracker here. If you want to copy this, by the way, it'll be in the description below. So just grab a free copy and make it your own, right? Again, all has to fit your context. So let me take you through this really, really simple doc. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to put in your target for the quarter or the month or whatever it is that the period that you're working to. And every week I want you to do this on a Monday morning under your pipeline management exercise. And then you're going to be able to build a pipeline generation plan off the back of it to close the gap. Okay. So let's say my target is 100 grand for the month or for the quarter, and I'm on 50k so far. So if you update the blue cells, the rest of it should update for you. So it's going to tell me my attainment is 50%. We can see that's pretty obvious. The gap is 50k, so it's calculating what I need to close the gap. And then it's giving me my pipeline coverage. And what I need is pipeline coverage is what I'm putting in. So if my close rate is 25%, I'm going to put in 4x as my pipeline coverage. If my win rate is 20%, I'm going to put 5. Okay, so it helps me benchmark it. Now the 3.6 is being taken from this over here. So it's basically calculating up some open deals. Now, one of the things I want you to do next is I want you to go through, I want you to put in your deals, right, and update this information. Well, we're going to get to MedPick and stuff a little bit shortly here. So put in the close date. Why is that close date in there? Like, who's told you it's going to happen on the 18th of April? What I always see with my teams when I'm a VP of sales is the close date is like the last day of the month or last day of the quarter. Isn't it funny how every customer is going to buy on the last day of the quarter? Like, it just shows that we don't really know that information, right? So look at your close date. Where did you get that information from? Why have you put the 18th of April or the 26th of April? Okay. Then we've got the ARR, like what's the deal size? Now, I just wanted to run this quick exercise with you first. So what I want you to look at next is the stage. So if we've only got like half the quarter left and our sales cycle length is, say, I don't know, 90 to 120 days, then I really want to challenge myself on why this deal's in there. So if this is at the discovery stage, which might be stage 1 or stage 2, and I've got a 90 to 120 days, yes, that deal could still close if they're like a returning customer, you know, it's a really top level executive or whatever it might be. But you've got to think about procurement and things like that on deals like this size. Why should I be forecasting this deal if it's so early in the sales process? So you might actually build a plan to go and, you know, qualify the close date a little bit harder and get some confidence in there ready for your forecast meeting. Or maybe you end up just taking it out completely. And now it's saying that my coverage ratio is now only 2 and I need 4. So I need twice as much pipeline, or I need to close twice as many deals to hit my number. And then you can start to do something about it and say, right, well, I need twice as much pipeline. Let me go and block off time on my calendar to start doing extra prospecting and see if I can find some quick wins. I'm going to go and reactivate some closed lost opportunities. I'm going to go into some existing customers and try and expand some revenue there. So look at the stage and be honest with yourself and say, hey, do I physically have the ability to close this deal in time? Then look at your forecast category. Now, the next part I want to draw your attention to is the MedPick score. So I won't go into the scores now, but if you go into the score breakdown here, it's going to break down a score of 0, which is bad, 1, which is average, and green, 3, which is green, which is good. And it's going to give you a definition for every element of MedPick, and then you can score your deals every single week and see them get better and improve over time. And then it's going to make it really clear here, red is bad, amber is okay, and then green is good. Okay, so when you come in and then you can update these accordingly, and then what's happening is it's going to give you a roll-up score. So out of 16, so if you're using the full MedPick with the P and the second C, then you're going to be able to see that over those different elements, the highest score is 2, so the top score you can get is 16 points. So if I change that back to 0, what it was a minute ago, that's going to take it down to 5. So I can see this deal is scoring 11 out of 16, this one 5, that one 12. And I'm looking for the reds and ambers, and I'm building a close plan, or I'm building an execution plan to go out and have a conversation and turn those all those cells to green. Okay. The next part is the 3 whys. So you might not be using MEDDIC. Okay, you might use a different qualification framework. I would really like the 3 whys. So let me break it down really simple. So why buy, why now, why us? And this is how I like to think about them. I've got another video on the channel where I go into this in a bit more detail, so go and check that out. But the why buy is around the pain. Like, why do they have to buy something in general? Right, so like, what's the problem they're facing? What's the pain point they're experiencing? Okay, then the now part is the urgency. Like, why do they have to do it now? Why can't they wait 6 months? Why didn't they do this 6 months ago? Right, what's the reason that they're doing it now? And that's usually going to be around the impact, your cost justification, your business case is really going to validate, hey, we should be buying this now because of A, B, and C. Usually around business metrics. And then why us? Like, why do they have to buy from us? There's competitors involved in this deal. Why do they want to buy from us? This is going to be the differentiators that you've planted and the customers agreed are relevant and needed to be successful. Okay, so document that into here. The deal age. So going back to my point a minute ago, if that deal is really young, really early, do I feel confident about it? Or, is there like an outlier here? This one looks like it's twice as old as some of our other deals, right? Am I actually onto a lost deal here and they just don't want to give me bad news? Again, it's just little things that's going to give me an indication on what's the health of my pipeline like. Do I have a next meeting on the books? Like, I want to be having at least 7 out of 10 of my opportunities with a next call on the calendar. I want to be continuously driving next steps, and to do that I need to have something on the calendar to do it. Even if I'm baked into a 6-month procurement process, I want to have a weekly or bi-weekly sync on the calendar with my champion and my procurement contact to make sure that we're making progress every week, every 2 weeks. Okay, no excuse for that. Do I know the signature date? If I'm forecasting, if I'm committing a deal, when are they going to sign the contract? Who's going to sign it? Whose DocuSign are we going to use? I've had a deal slip before because the organisation wanted to use their DocuSign and we found that out late in the quarter and that person was then off and couldn't sign the contract. It's still signed the next quarter, but that was really frustrating. What's the legal status? Is it approved? Is it pending? Has it not even started yet? What about InfoSec? Have we started that process? What's my close plan? And then what are my competitors? This is going to be a really important one. Based on all of your learnings through reviewing this document, this is where you're going to build a plan, an execution plan, a close plan to go and get that deal over the line. Okay, so fill in this information. Like, you'll only have to fill this in like from a hard level for the first time when that deal enters your pipeline or your forecast. And then as you're going through the quarter or the month, like you saw me do, you might delete one if you lose it, right? Or you might update the stage or update the value or change the close date or give it a new score the following week based on how things are progressing, right? And your goal really is to get real confidence and forecasting accuracy to be at the highest level it can be by running this exercise on a regular basis. And then if you start to feel, hey, actually, I'm feeling a little bit light in terms of pipeline coverage, then you can go and build an execution plan, a prospecting generation plan, a pipeline generation plan, and say, hey, I'm going to double up my cold calls this week. I'm going to send a few more personalized emails and do a little bit more with my closed loss ops from last year or last quarter or the last 6 months and see if I can reactivate some quick wins there. I'm going to look for champion changes. Who's used to be a champion at my customers has now got a new job and might be able to accelerate a deal faster for me because they're already a raving fan, they're already a champion of our organization. So look, it doesn't mean you can't win a deal without doing this. It just makes it a lot easier when you know exactly where you stand, the health of your pipeline, really good pipeline hygiene, so you feel confident calling a number, and ultimately you can build a plan to go and hit your accelerators and increase your earnings. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure you grab a copy in the description below.